Welcome, everyone, to the Behind the Frenzy podcast. I'm your host, Dean Holzwarth. Today, I'm joined by photojournalist, Wood TV, Andy McDonald. Jack Doles is off on assignment.
He's busy.
He's off on assignment today. So, Andy, let's talk about some takeaways from Week 3. Obviously, some upsets last week, some big wins.
Definitely.
Let's first of all talk about South Christian. A big win over West Catholic. Had to rally in the fourth quarter to pull that one out.
No doubt.
Carson Vist doing Carson Vist things.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, anytime you can beat West Catholic, that already says a lot because they've kind of brought their program back to being what they were, 5-6 years ago before they were down for a little bit. But yeah, Carson Vist just I look at the numbers and I have to ask myself, like, is that real? Like, if I'm not the one at that game, I have to be like, are these stats real? I mean, he went 19 for 29 for 196 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. And then he ran for another 195 yards on just 15 carries. That's like good numbers for a running back. And he scored 2 more touchdowns. So he's responsible for like all their points on the board.
And basically, he had the fake punt in the second half.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a part of his rushing yards.
Where he broke like 4 or 5 tackles.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, what the talent that kid has, like, again, plays basketball, loves basketball, but it's like, how did he pick up football not that long ago? Like, every time we look at him playing against a school like West Catholic that's well coached by Landon Grove and they're good. It's just phenomenal to see him put up those kind of numbers.
Yeah, West Catholic's first loss of the season, and obviously Vist was a big reason behind that. If you look at Carson Vist over the last his first 3 games this season, 16 total touchdowns, 729 passing yards, 409 rushing yards. He's averaging 8.7 yards per carry.
That's the kind of stuff you just can't make up, seriously. I mean, it's like every time we do this show, we're talking about him because they're always in big games, and he's always putting up big numbers. So I don't expect it to stop at any time soon.
Yeah, I promise this is not the Carson Vist show.
No.
But he is well deserving of being talked about with the season that he's having.
Absolutely. And West Catholic on the other end, I think they'll be fine. I don't think this is like a loss to like really get down about. They're still like good on the year. I mean, the whooping they put on Coopersville the week before that still shows they're a good team. They just ran into a good opponent with a really good quarterback. And, I think they're still going to be fine going forward. But both these teams are teams to look for going down the road in the playoffs.
Definitely. One upset from last week.
Yeah.
East Kentwood.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one, yeah.
They held on.
Yeah, that kind of game, again, close, 41-35. That's the kind of score that, a lot of points against and not as much defense. But East Kentwood, they had a tough loss the week before that. So to be able to come back and play this and get this win, I think that was big for them. Ever since Tyrone Spencer's come over there, it's like the culture just feels completely different. The atmosphere feels completely different at their games. I mean, they've always had talent. It feels like now it's getting put into it. I mean, when you win 4 state championships at Detroit MLK, obviously he's got a good coaching pedigree. He clearly wanted to come here for a reason because he thought he could win games. And these are the kind of games he wanted to win, I'm sure, when he took the job.
In that game, Andy, up 34-0 East Kentwood was before the Fighting Scots made a huge rally there.
For sure.
And almost pulled it out. It was 41-35, I think, with 3 or 4 minutes left, and East Kentwood was able to hang on for that win. Arguably one of their bigger wins in the last few years. Do you think they can compete in the OK Red?
I definitely think they can compete. I mean, when you can score that many points and you have that kind of offense, you can compete with almost any team any week. And I think they've already shown that, through the first 3 weeks that they're not going to – there's teams that will be favored ahead of them, but I don't think that they're going to lay down for anybody, that's for sure.
It's becoming – we used to say it was kind of Rockford, Caledonia last couple of years, Granville, kind of a 3-team race, but I think you can throw East Kentwood into that mix now.
No doubt, absolutely. They're just as competitive as anybody else, and it's not easy to beat those kind of teams that you just mentioned. I mean, like you said, they're around every single year, but I think East Kentwood wants to be one of those teams that's there, and as long as Spencer's leading the charge, I think they will be. Yeah,
East Kentwood has West Ottawa coming up on Friday night, and then a couple tough games after that, Hudsonville and Granville. So we will see what the Falcons are made of here in the next 3 weeks.
For sure.
Caledonia will look to bounce back after their first loss of the year, and they go to Grand Haven this week.
Absolutely. No, I don't think any worries them either. Their program's been so good the past couple of years. I think they'll be fine going forward.
Yeah, they'll be good. Zeeland West. I actually was out at Whitehall for the Zeeland West game. Zeeland West.
You got a treat. It's a lot of points.
A lot of points in that game, even though I think I left around the second quarter, and it was 35-0.
Wow.
At that point, I believe. So Zeeland West built a big first quarter lead. And one thing I noticed when I was leaving was Zeeland West quarterback and defensive back Trace Sluthak was banged up in the second quarter. I think he got a concussion. I'm not 100% sure exactly what happened, but we'll see what his status is for this week. But that's a two-way player who's kind of the leader of that team.
Yeah, no, their offense has scored 130 points in the first 3 weeks. So I think it kind of explains what they've been able to do. In the first week was against Muskegon, so it's not like, they played a tough team and they only scored 28. They scored 42 the other week. They scored 60 this past week. Their offense can do it, but a quarterback can, obviously, that Sluthack's out, that can really hurt their offense a lot. But hopefully he'll be able to get back in there because it's really fun to watch them play right now.
It is. Second half, obviously, they gave up some points, and they really can't do that this week as they have Zeeland East.
Yeah. No, it's a big one for sure. I mean, anytime those two teams meet, it's going to be a close one. But, I mean, they beat Whitehall and Muskegon. Those are two teams you talk about every year, that are competitive in high school football in this area. So, yeah, as long as their quarterback's healthy, I expect them to play well, and I'll actually be at that game on Friday night. So I'm excited to be there and see how it goes. So it'd be good to see that Zeeland West. I went there when they played against team slipped me right now. Not Newaygo, but West Ottawa. They played West Ottawa.
Yes.
I watched that game, and their offense just started rolling in the second half, and it was very impressive to see. So Shillito, he's always got his offenses doing it. So. And
Zeeland East isn't too shabby this year. 2-1 on the year. They beat Union first game. Week 2 lost a tough 27-21 game against Flushing, and then they absolutely destroyed Alpena last week, 68-0.
Wow. Yeah, anytime you get a shutout with that many points, you feel pretty good about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, so that should be a really, really good game.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, Muskegon had last week off.
Yeah.
Looking for their first win of the year, which is kind of weird to say going into week 4.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we stand. Big game against Forest Hills Northern.
Yes, I was actually just at that game last week, the rivalry between them and Forest Hills Central. Forest Hills Central, they're definitely not the team I would say they were the past couple of years. They're still a competitive team, but I think they're still trying to kind of find their identity a little bit after being a state champion a year ago. They lost a lot of people, including their head coach, obviously, but Forest Hills Northern did lose that game. It was a tight game, came down to the last play, actually, because they had a chance at a Hail Mary from like the 35, 40-yard line, somewhere in there. Didn't complete it, but their quarterback, who was playing the whole game, got hurt in the last play of the game. That put into backups. That's also something to look for going into this game. But, I mean, Forest Hills Northern, definitely a respectable opponent. I think this is a chance for Muskegon to, kind of right the ship. Finally get their first win. I think they're obviously eager not having an opponent last week, kind of like we talked about in the last podcast.
Yeah.
It's tough to sit out and not play this early in the season after you wait for games for that long. But, I think they'll be ready to go. I expect nothing less from any team coached by Shane. So.
Now, I did hear a rumor, let's turn to Catholic Central, Grandpa's Catholic Central, a rare shutout.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember the last time Catholic Central has been shut out?
No, probably might have been before I was born. I'm not sure, but I don't know if it dates back that far. But do you know?
40. I do not know. I was going to look it up and didn't have a chance to, but yeah, they lost to Notre Dame Prep 42-0.
That's crazy.
Which is obviously very surprising. I think they're dealing with some injuries right now.
Yeah. If the quarterback injury is going on for them as well, that's just tough because he was a true freshman as it is. And he was already kind of trying to grasp the offense, kind of struggling through the first few weeks. And their defense was kind of guiding them. Well, they play a team like Notre Dame Prep who's got an offense that's going to keep up with you. Lose a quarterback, I don't know who's going to step in and take that job going into this next game, but definitely surprising. That's since I've been covering high school football here, Catholic Central has been the team doing that to other teams. And I'm not just saying that not every game. They do it every game. Like, that's what it is every game. Like, they would dominate 2 state titles and then win the state title by that many points. That's just kind of how it would go.
They have set a standard of excellence for several years now.
No, it's impressive. It's like the Alabama of, this area. That's what it was like. Every year, you just knew they were going to go to a state title. But obviously, this is, for Todd Colster, this is probably the biggest challenge he's had in a long time, I would guess.
Yeah, they're actually playing in the OK Blue this year, so they have their OK Blue opener against Middleville this week. So schedule gets a little easier potentially for them. Actually, Middleville is a strong team, but then after Middleville, they have Ottawa Hills, Holland Christian, and then big games against Northview. Catholic Central finishes the season. Last 3 games, Northview, East Grand Rapids, and South Christian.
Yep, those teams have all got talent, and East Grand Rapids, Northview teams we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but they're definitely no one to roll over. Like I said, it's a challenge for Todd Colster, but if there's any coach that's up for the challenge, it's definitely him because, he's been able to have success time in and time out I expect him to get the most out of whoever he is playing on his team, and I think they'll be fine.
Agreed.
But it definitely will be tough. We could see an interesting record for them, I guess, at the end of the year.
Yes.
So
it couldn't be what we're kind of used to. We've been used to the last few years.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. The games are, obviously Catholic Central wants to win every game they play, but as people that watch high school football, it's like kind of fun to see some of these new teams coming up and competing with them.
Yeah. Speaking of teams coming up, we are going to talk about our spotlight games for week 4. We have 3 of them this week, and I think the marquee matchup of the week is a couple state-ranked teams. Byron Center goes to Mona Shores, and these teams are actually playing against each other for the first time ever.
That's crazy that they haven't played yet.
Byron Center, top-ranked team in Division II, 3-0. Mona Shores, 3-0. I mean, for Mona Shores, I don't know if they've remembered where they played their home games at, because this will be their first home game.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. 3 games.
3 straight road games.
Completely, and they're not even like in the area either, so we haven't really been able to cover them yet. So it'll be good to finally get a look at them, and they're playing against a good opponent too, so you're really going to know what they're made of. But I think a lot of these teams that schedule these games far away, that's what they're trying to get out of this, right? They're playing against these teams from other states that are more competitive. I would imagine they want to be ready for these games against the opponents from here. So I would imagine that Mona Shores is ready to go. I don't think that they'll come out slow. That's what I'm getting at.
Mona Shores, obviously, I think it's going to be a showcase of 2 really good offenses. Mona Shores offense and Byron Center has shown that they can score some points.
Yes, against East Kentwood, they had a pretty good game themselves, who we just talked about earlier as being one of those teams that could compete. And obviously, Byron Center is a team that wants to take it to that next level as well, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, you got 2 teams that are ready to go and want to win badly. It should be a good game.
Yeah, it will be a good test for Byron Center. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Are they that elite team that can compete for a state title this year? I think this would be a very good measuring stick. If they're able to go into Mona Shores in that environment and get a win, it will tell a lot about what this team can do down the road.
No doubt, exactly. I mean, like we kind of just said, Mona Shores should be prepared to play in this game, and it's at their home field. I mean, they have all the juice in the world. If you can walk in there and get a win like that, I mean, I've been to Mona Shores plenty of times. That atmosphere is great. Byron Center also has a great atmosphere every time you go there, so I expect their fans to travel well. Should be a pretty good game. A lot of people. I'd imagine it'll be a good one.
Yeah, not many empty seats at that one.
No, I wouldn't guess. But
another game we are going to spotlight is, I think, the surprise team, Andy, if you maybe agree with me, the surprise team of the area is Northview.
Yeah. I mean, every time you see them in the rankings, it's kind of like, what's going on with this? Why are they ranked that high? They haven't really been that competitive in the past. Well, I covered them last Friday, and that was my first chance to see them. First touchdown right in front of me on the sideline was a hook and ladder. So they had me sold right away. I'm like, these kids just came out fired up. They were ready to go. Next possession, it's against Sparta. I mean, it's a respectable opponent. And the next possession, they had like a 60-yard bomb for another touchdown in the back of the end zone. I was like, okay, I guess I got my highlights. So I wasn't there for that long. I had to get to more games. But from what I did see, Northview is, they're better than anybody expected coming into the season, that's for sure.
Am I right to say they have some athletes?
They do, absolutely. I mean, the quarterback, receiver, they were well faster than anybody on the field last week. So I expect them to continue that. But EGR is a good team too.
Yeah, they're going to have the work cut out for them. And another thing, kind of like Byron Center, like how good is Northview? We're going to find out. It's a program, haven't had winning season since 2019.
Exactly.
But they're putting up 43 points a game. Defense hasn't allowed more than 14 points in each game. So yeah, how good is Northview?
And East Grand Rapids trying to prove themselves to be that team that they used to be as well. They want to be that power of this area again. So they're not going to take it lightly. That's 2 good teams clashing. It's another one that I'd expect to be close.
Definitely. East Grand Rapids was able to bounce back from their Week 2 loss to South Christian and beat Grand Rapids Christian 42-6 last week.
Yep.
Quarterback Carson Thornton, pretty good as well.
Yeah.
So I see maybe some points being put up.
Yeah, that's definitely a good. East Grand Rapids defense, I think, could hold their own too. Obviously, they had a tough time against Vis, but other than that, they've been pretty good this year, and I think that'll be good to see if Northview's high power, quick, big play offense can do good against their defense. So.
Definitely. Our third spotlight game is going to be the Newaygo Lions against Tri-County. Both teams 3-0 in the season.
Yep.
Some people may not know Newaygo's coached by former Rockford coach Ralph Munger.
He just couldn't stay away. Had to get back out there and coach again. Can't blame him. I mean, that's what he does, and he does a great job of it. So
His first year was last year. They went 3-6, so I think he's just kind of getting his feet wet a little bit in that program and kind of establishing what he wants to do, what he wants his staff to do, what he expects of his players, and some first year struggles a little bit, but it seems like they have him going in the right direction right now.
absolutely, no, I mean Ralph is it. He wins he did it at Rockford, and he left a great program there. I think he's trying to do this now. It probably was a new challenge for him to step in somewhere like this, after being somewhere his entire time. So it's awesome to still have him coaching. I mean, and then it's great to see his teams doing well. So we're already spotlighting him this early in the season. So who knows how much further it'll go, but I mean, it's been a lot of fun to watch so far.
Yeah, he is a coach that demands a lot from his players, and he gets the most out of them, I believe. And for Newaygo, this is their best start since 2014.
Yeah, so that already says a lot.
They've already matched their win total from a year ago, and offense is averaging 30 points a game, and they haven't won more than 3 games as a program since 2019.
Yeah.
So
when you can step in somewhere and that quickly turn it around to be this kind of a record early in the year and have people opening their eyes and looking at you and wanting to see you play, yeah, that's impressive.
It's kind of been a revenge tour for those guys too.
Yeah.
They beat Kent City, who they lost to last year. They beat Central Montcalm, who they lost to last year. Now we'll see if they can do it against a talented Tri-County team that beat them last year 36-8.
Wow. That's definitely revenge tour continues on, I guess. But when you got a team that beat you that bad a year ago, I gotta imagine it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So I'm sure they'll be ready to go, and whether Ralph gives them motivation before or not, I'm sure they won't need it for anybody coming back that was in that game last year.
Yeah, I don't think Tri-County is going to be overlooking
No.
Newaygo, despite the fact that they've been pretty good the last few years. 3 straight years of winning 7 or more games, qualified for the postseason the last 4 years in a row, and this year they've won every game by double digits, and they're averaging almost 50 points a game.
Wow, that's yeah. Then I would say that Newaygo has definitely got a challenge on their hands if they can score that many points that quickly.
Yeah. Well, Andy.
Yeah.
I think that will wrap it up.
Sure.
Please stay tuned to the highlights for Football Frenzy. I think we're doing 20-some games again.
Yeah.
Our photographers will be out there catching all the highlights. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.